There are certain exercises that you can do, like muscular exercises, to build your IQ.
You're about to hear a life-changing speech from Brian Tracy. Relax, take notes, and watch this entire video so you don't miss anything that can have a huge impact on your life.
Rapid learning techniques, what we know about the brain. What we know about the brain is that intelligence is developed through effort, like physical muscles. So your IQ is malleable over 25 points. There are certain exercises that you can do, like muscular exercises, to build your IQ. You can go from average intelligence, which is 100, to 125, 126 IQ by doing certain exercises that activate more of your brain cells. Many people, by the way, who have high IQs allow their minds, like their muscles, to atrophy, so they're not as quick or not as smart as they might have been. IQ is affected by your self-concept. If you consider yourself to be a bright person, you'll be much smarter and more creative than if you don't. So when your parents always tell you how smart you are, you start to perform at a much more intelligent level than if your parents tell you something negative or tell you nothing at all. So tell yourself, you say, I'm a genius, I'm a genius, I'm a genius. Because you have had genius ideas throughout your life. You've had incredible ideas. The difference between geniuses and non-geniuses is non-geniuses have occasional bright, great ideas. Geniuses just say, I'm a genius, and they have bright ideas all the time. That's all. In other words, really fit people exercise every day. Non-fit people exercise twice a month. So if you're constantly using your mind, you actually get brighter and smarter, and you start to unleash more and more ideas. So second, learning ability can be increased. And you can learn to learn faster and easier. If you want to earn more, you must learn more. And you can actually accelerate the speed. We call this accelerated learning. I'm one of the foremost authorities in the world on the subject. I've done extensive programs on all the different ways that you can turn your brain into a sponge so it just absorbs information. There is a direct relationship between learning and longevity. The more actively you learn, the longer you live. The more actively your mind is engaged. And that's why Goethe started writing the second part of Faust when he was 86 years old. And Faust is considered one of the greatest of all pieces of literature. He completed it when he was 89. I mean, he was still a highly productive person in his later years because he remained fully engaged all the time. Number 4, the longer you continue to learn and the more active you are mentally, the longer you live and the healthier you are. That's why the whole idea of retirement is an old idea that goes back to the industrial age, where people worked until they were 55 or 60, and then like an old piece of machinery, they were worn out and they got taken off the line and put in a field and allowed to deteriorate. In the industrial age, people are taken off the line, they go home and sit in a walking chair until they die. Today, because you work with your brain, you'll be at your prime at 75. You'll be as bright as a berry. You'll be dancing at weddings, you'll be traveling, you'll be learning, reading, studying new subjects, going back to school. This is the best time in all of human history, as long as you keep your brain active. Interesting point, there's more and more direct connections between Alzheimer's and brain atrophy. People started watching television 30 years ago. They're still watching television, and their brain turns to porridge because there's no stimulation. Whereas people who are active and busy very seldom have brain deterioration, what they call senility. Diseases of senility. Rapid learning techniques. The left and right hemisphere of the brain are responsible for very different ways of thinking. First of all, there's the left hemisphere is logical. It looks at everything in a cold, logical way. It's rational, and it looks for reasons. What are the reasons why things happen? It's analytical. As we talked about the conscious mind, it analyzes things carefully and picks them apart. Accountants are very analytical. It's pragmatic. Does it work? All I want to know is, does it work? Not what it is, but does it work for me? Will it be effective? It's concrete. It likes tangible answers, tangible numbers, proof. It is linear. It works with facts and figures in a linear way, step by step. Like engineering, we call this the engineering side of the brain. It is sequential. It deals with things in sequence, one after the other. Like a recipe where you put the ingredients together. It's very much a left brain activity. It's responsible for language, but it's responsible for language in that it is responsible for words. I sure hope they got this down properly. It's responsible for learning the individual meanings of words. And that is why, have you noticed that people from East India win all the spelling bees? Because they have a particular way of memorizing words, and they memorize jillions of words. Now, that doesn't mean they're fluent in speaking the language, but damn, are they good with the words. And it's responsible for math as well, because math is a logical, rational, sequential, linear form of thinking. The right hemisphere of your brain is responsible, and for words, there we go, it's responsible for words. The right hemisphere is visual, and it sees things. The right hemisphere takes photographs of things and will look like when you look at me, you see me and the whole room up here at one time. It is holistic. It sees the totality of things. It goes into a room and sees everybody in the room, short depth, long depth, motion, movement, and so on. It is intuitive. It operates from feelings. It has a gut feeling about things. This is a right brain activity. It is abstract. It sees concepts and ideas. It can create pictures in its mind or pictures in the air. It's musical. It responds to music and the emotion and the fun and the thrill and the excitement of music, which the left hemisphere has no interest in. It's artistic. It's the brain that is responsible for painting and for art and for sculpture. It is spontaneous. It is open, spontaneous, excited. It laughs, it cries, it feels emotions, and so on. It's responsible for dance. All of dance is a right brain activity. I would say that probably turbo fire is a right brain activity as well. It's responsible for poetry and the use of poetry, and it's responsible for language. Language actually shouldn't be in the first column. The left brain is responsible for learning words, and the right brain combines them into language. And so whenever we use language in sentences and pauses, whenever we speak, we're using the right brain. Well, what we know is that the brain functions at 4 different levels. The first level, the beta level, is the conscious level like now, which is 14 waves and above. When your mind is really working really intensely, it can get up to 15, 20, 25, 30 waves, and its wavelength activity is very intense. The second level is the alpha level, which is 8 to 13 words per second, and the alpha level is when you are meditating, your eyes are closed, and you're just completely relaxed, although you're quite conscious and aware. The third level is the theta level. The theta level is the level between this relaxed conscious awareness and sleep. It's where you start to fantasize, you start to drift, you start to have little dreams and so on. Your mind just starts to move away. And the delta level is half to 4 words per second, or waves per second, and that's where you fall completely asleep. A complete sleep cycle takes you from beta through alpha, deep relaxation, theta, where you start to dream, and into delta, which is very deep. Now, if you go through a complete sleep cycle, it only lasts about 2 or 3 hours. And if you have ever had an experience where you've gone to sleep at, say, 11 o'clock, and you wake up at 2 o'clock and you're wide awake, have you had that experience? And you lay down and you can't get back to sleep? It's because you have been fully rested. You've had one complete sleep cycle and you're fully rested. And now you can't get back. You toss and turn and toss and turn, and finally, when the morning comes, you're exhausted. And you get up, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, you felt great. This is because you went through a complete sleep cycle. The problem with us today is because of food and drink and stimulation, we have to sort of keep going into theta, and we never get through a full sleep cycle. Once you've had a full sleep cycle, you come out and you're wide awake. People like Lyndon Johnson never slept more than 4 hours a night. There are many very creative people who never sleep more than 4 hours a night because they've been programmed from an early age, for one reason, to have a complete sleep cycle every time they close their eyes. So basically, they're up. There was a gentleman in England, most amazing damn thing. He had he had a concussion, and because of his concussion, he could only sleep 3 hours a night. And so he decided, he was a smart guy, he'd use the spare time, because there's nobody to talk to at 2 in the morning. And there's nothing worth watching on television. I've tried. So what he did is he decided he would take that extra 5 hours and study, and over the course of the next 20 years, he got 7 PhDs. He got a PhD in philosophy, a PhD in history, he got a PhD in science, he got a PhD in biology, he got a PhD in poetry, he got a PhD in medieval studies, he got serious PhDs. He became one of the learned men in the world by using his extra 5 hours every day just to study. So it's possible to go into deep sleep. Actually, you can program yourself to say, when I sleep tonight, I'm going to sleep deeply and well. And when you go to sleep, your subconscious mind will say, okay, I know what to do. Put them down. Put them under. And wham. What will happen is you'll wake up at 2 o'clock and you won't be able to sleep, and you'll come down here ruined tomorrow morning and very mad at me. So the best method to get people into the alpha theta level is to combine both hemispheres is to use music and relaxation. And when you close your eyes, relax, and listen to positive messages, they bypass your conscious mind. You've heard of hypnosis or self-hypnosis. Well, this is a form of what is called autogenic conditioning, heterogenic conditioning, where you're actually put into a deep state of relaxation by another voice plus music. And the words are all very positive affirmations. That's all written down in your book, by the way. They bypass your conscious mind and go straight into your subconscious mind. And when you are awake from this deep form of relaxation, all those positive messages are programmed into your subconscious mind and begin to change your thinking, your feeling, and your behavior. The new words or messages go straight into the subconscious. So you can learn rapidly if you do the following things. Define your purpose, and we give you some goals, is have an intense desire to learn, and then always study with classical music. Now this is a little bit different from what we just talked about in terms of what we're going to do now, but I wanted to put this in, is that you can learn rapidly by having a very clear goal for learning, have an intense desire to learn, and always study with classical music playing in the background. If you study with classical music, the words that you're learning actually ride on the classical music, sort of like riding on a river. They ride into your mind with the music. If you listen to words or songs with words, you don't learn what you're studying, you learn the words from the song. Remember when we were young and we drove around listening to musical songs? How many people could still remember those songs? The music comes on, you remember every single word. It's because at that time, that's what was happening. The music combined with the words was going straight into your subconscious mind, and you have it 20 years later. Sometimes you have it for the rest of your life. The music will come on and you can sing along the whole song because it went into your mind. What we're going to do now is a form of progressive relaxation with music. It's called taped affirmation, and we'll take and we'll repeat an affirmation 5 times. When you hear the first affirmation, which will be, you like yourself unconditionally, you really like yourself. As you hear the first affirmation, just simply say yes or I agree. Your eyes will be closed, you'll be completely relaxed. As the message goes into your mind, you just say yes or I agree or that's true. You just agree with the affirmation. You'll probably find yourself so relaxed that you won't be bothered saying it again. Each of the affirmations will be repeated 5 times. You'll first of all be counted down by the count of 20 until you're deeply relaxed. The affirmations will be repeated 5 times each, and then you'll be counted back up to full wakefulness. This exercise takes about 20 minutes, and it's really quite beautiful. And so what we're going to do now, use spaced repetition, practice what you're learning. These are the last rapid learning techniques. Use spaced repetition, practice it, use a variety of stimulation, take regular breaks.